The Hammock House, or the White House as it was called in earlier years, was built in the late 1700s, early 1800s, but plaqued 1709. It is one of the oldest homes in Beaufort, North Carolina. It has been used for various purposes during its roughly 300-year history. It has been a home, a residence for Union soldiers, a summer house, and a school. The home has had 31 owners in its lifetime. It was originally built as an ordinary, or also known as an inn, hoping to profit from the sea and land travelers. The name comes from the house being built on a hammock, meaning a hill or fertile rise area. Its 2 stories made it visible from the sea, and it sat at the entry of the inlet, which made it become a shipping landmark until the 18th century. Originally, Taylor's Creek came up to the front lawn of the house where small paddle boats could dock. According to the Ghost Walk tour, a paranormal investigation team investigated the house and claims it is haunted by 23 ghosts. Not surprised given its gruesome history. There are many legends and stories surrounding the Hammock House. It is told that the infamous pirate Blackbeard stayed here with his French common law wife, who was not a willing occupant. Another tale frequently told is of Richard Russell Jr. Upon returning from sea, he decided to punish a slave in the attic for wrongdoings. Another story includes a British naval captain thinking his fiancée to be untrue. Also of Union soldiers during the Civil War living in the Hammock House, never to be seen again. So many tragic stories surround this house to the point locals and people native of Beaufort have become uneasy. Is it truly haunted? You decide once you hear these legends and ghost stories for yourself. It is told that Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, made the Hammock House his headquarters during the peak of his piracy. He has roamed the waters of eastern North Carolina, which is evident due to the ship Queen Anne's Revenge running aground in the Beaufort Inlet. During his time at the Hammock House, it is told that Blackbeard kept his young common-law wife there against her will. It was rumored she was involved with a local lad during her stay. Once Blackbeard got word of this, it did not end well for the young lady. Before Blackbeard's departure from the Hammock House, he left her swinging in the backyard, hung from the big oak tree. Her body was said to be buried under the tree. To this day, when the time is right, you can still hear her screams in the cool night breeze. This story has become so popular throughout the years, people would break into the backyard of the Hammock House to see the big oak tree. Eventually, the homeowners grew tired of calling the local police due to curious trespassers. The tree was cut down and no longer stands in the backyard of the Hammock House. In 1747, Richard Russell, the owner of the Hammock House at the time, was out to sea on a voyage. After returning home, Russell discovered one of his slaves had done wrong. He grabbed and dragged them to the attic for punishment. The slave panicked and shoved Russell down the stairs, resulting in him breaking his neck and dying on the floor. Is Russell still haunting the home to this day? Or is it the slave haunting the home, feeling remorseful for his accident? In the early days of the house being an inn is where this story of the mistaken duel originates. Early 18th century, the town of Beaufort was a busy port for trade, going between the Caribbean, New England, Canada, and back to England. Captain Madison Brothers commanded the ships sailing in and out of Beaufort before the Revolutionary War. Brothers reportedly grew wealthy being a captain and a merchant from his trading, but was also said to have a furious temper and would fly into horrible rages, which gave him the nickname Mad Brothers, or Captain Mad. As he became older, he decided it was time for him to settle down and get married. He searched for a bride up and down the coast, but his temper hindered him from finding a bride until he found Miss Samantha Ashby. Miss Ashby was the daughter of a wealthy Biltmore family and agreed to be Mad Brothers' wife. Brothers arranged for a stagecoach to take her to Beaufort and stay in the Hammock House. Brothers would complete his planned trip up the coast and would come back to Beaufort for them to be married. Miss Ashby was sitting on the porch of the Hammock House when a young soldier walked up to her. It was her brother, Lieutenant Carthurs Ashby. He was on the British Navy ship that had docked into Beaufort that morning. Miss Ashby and her brother spent the next few days spending time together catching up on old times. The night before Lieutenant Ashby was set to depart from Beaufort, they threw a big party and a dance at the Hammock House for the ship's officers. Food was prepared and a band was brought in for the occasion. Everyone in town was excited for the social event of the year. As the party was starting, Mad Brothers pulled into port. As he was closer to shore, he saw the lights of the hammock house blazing in the night sky. Anxious to see his bride, he gathered a small group of men to launch a small boat and rowed up to the hammock house to dock. Captain Brothers led his men into the ballroom of the house, where he found his bride to be in the arms of a young British soldier. Brothers immediately flew into a rage and ripped Ashby from her brother. Before anyone could explain what was going on, Brothers had drawn his sword and was attacking the soldier. Ashby had no choice but to defend himself and drew his own sword. Brothers' men also had their swords drawn towards the crowd to hold them back from interfering. Brothers' rage was so intense he was deaf of the cries of everyone in the room of the terrible mistake he has made. He slashed madly at Lieutenant Ashby, who did his best to keep Brothers' blows from striking him. The two went across the ballroom, out into the lobby, and up the stairs, still thrashing swords at each other. Ashby had no choice but to lounge out, but his balance was thrown off by the narrow stairs and tripped and fell on his back at the landing. Showing no mercy, Brothers slashed Ashby across the torso to where his internal organs fell into the floor. As he lay there dying, Miss Ashby ran over to her brother's side. Mad Brother spat in her direction, gathered his men, and rowed back to his ship, never to step foot in Beaufort again. They say in his last breath, Ashby whispered his dying request. He wished to be buried, fully dressed, standing at attention and facing towards England. He is buried in the old burying grounds in the grave marked the British naval officer, burying in an upright coffin and facing home toward England. Till this day, there is a stain of blood on the stairs where Lieutenant Ashby died. No matter how many times they clean it, replace the wood, even covering it with carpet, it always seems to show up. By the mid-18th century, more people had died in the hammock house by sword duels. In 1832, the house became occupied by Union soldiers who were quartered in the hammock house during the Civil War. It is said that 3 of the Union soldiers went out scouting and never returned. These men were eventually found 50 years later when the house was going under renovations. The men working on the house discovered their remains near the back porch. So this is what the hammock house looks like today. I can't go in it because people actually live there today. But this is what it currently looks like. And if you drive up a little bit, I'll show you. There is a sign right here that talks about it. And it says, the hammock house, 1709. Builder unknown, but associated with sea captains, including the pirate Blackbeard. Built on a hill or hummock, it served as a beacon for early sailors, the oldest house in Beaufort. It's a private residence, so you can't really come up here and venture around and check it out. But yeah, that's what it looks like right now. But that is what it currently looks like today. Wow, what some great stories and legends of the hammock house. Can you imagine not seeing your brother because he was out, being a naval officer, and not seeing him for years probably, and he comes and visits, and you just catching up, and your husband to be gets so angry that he becomes he's just deaf to everything happening around him and is trying to kill him because you were dancing with him and just not listening to anybody, and it's just a tragic story. But yeah, but like I said in that story, he is buried at the old burying grounds. He is still standing up. He's probably not physically standing up anymore, but his coffin is standing up. So you can visit him at old burying grounds. If you want to see that video, I'll put it up at the top. There are so many other legends and stories surrounding that hammock house. You can do some research on Google to find them, or you can go to Beaufort and you can probably ask some of the locals and natives of Beaufort. You can go to like the Beaufort Historic Site and maybe ask them, hey, any stories of the hammock house, things like that. So all the stories that you have heard have some truth to them, like the duel at the hammock house, that has some truth to them, obviously, because Lieutenant Ashby is buried in the old burying grounds. The story might be a little lavish here and there, but the basis of the story is probably a true story. The Union soldier one, it's probably a little lavish, but you know, a true story, because they did find the remains in the backyard. The only story that is truly a legend is the stories dealing around Blackbeard. It is told that he did stay at the Hammock House and that he did make the Hammock House his headquarters, but it is legend, so you can take it with a grain of salt. But when you go on the ghost walk tours, they do claim that he has been in Beaufort 4 times, one of them being the Queen Anne's Revenge sinking in the Beaufort Inlet. So the story of Blackbeard and his common-law wife is it's more of a told legend, like it's more of a, you know, hearsay story. And they say, you know, they claim that she was not hung there, she was not buried behind a tree, things like that. But like I said, it got so popular that people were sneaking into the backyard to see the tree, and the owners cut it down because they were tired of it. I don't blame them. So I hope you enjoyed all the ghost stories surrounding the Hammock House, one of the most haunted houses in Beaufort. So if you want to hear other ghost stories and legends surrounding, you know, Outer Banks, the eastern coast of North Carolina, things like that, yes, you can do Google research, and you can go looking on the interwebs for information, but you should check out the books by Charles Harry Wadeby. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's Whedbee. But he has these books going around. I got one of them. It's pretty cool. It is Blackbeard's Cup and Stories of the Outer Banks. There's some cool ghost stories in here. You can see the picture of Charles on the back. But he has other books of ghost stories, legends. You can get them on Amazon. I actually got this from the gift store at Fort Macon. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Also hit that bell icon to get notified on when we drop videos like this one. Also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And while you're on our Facebook page, you can check out our little shop where we sell the Beast Box from Rogue Magnetics and the Ancestry Inn cookbook. In the description of this video, there is a link to our bigger shop where you can get cool t-shirts, you can get hats, hoodies, you can get drinkware, and you can also get stickers, and there's a whole bunch more. So thanks for watching, see you soon, and happy Halloween.